Well, we are back at it today on this Sunday here for live racing at Oaklawn and Hot Springs. Nancy Holthus joined alongside track announcer Matt Dinnerman. A big turnaround from yesterday. Unfortunately, we did have to cancel after just running one race for the safety of our human and equine athletes. And it kind of gets paid off because, man, it's beautiful outside today.
It is fantastic. As you mentioned yesterday, Nancy, if it's bad weather, just wait 24 hours. That's a quote from Nancy Holthus herself. And you were right. Per today, that's the evidence. Beautiful sunny skies. And we will talk about this in just a moment. But yesterday was, I guess, the Francisco Arrieta show.
It was. I mean, one and done. What more could you ask, you know?
We ran it just for him.
We did. Very aptly named. But let's go ahead and get started and take a look at our weather. As we mentioned, the sun, I'm not going to say it's partly sunny. I'm going to say it's fully sunny because it is absolutely gorgeous. We do have a track condition of muddy, at least to start things out. Winds out of the west-northwest at 5 miles per hour, and it is glorious at 55 degrees. So feels really good. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of people out enjoying the sunshine that we didn't see at all yesterday. We went from fog to rain. So glad everybody was able to stay safe as well. But let's take a look at our news page because only having one race run yesterday, it was still a big one as jockey Francisco Arrieta piloted his 1,000th career victory. So a very cool moment. The Tinsel Stakes that originally was carded yesterday will be run next Sunday, January 5th. And don't forget the Smarty Jones is being drawn today. So we'll know those entrants later this afternoon. Today, however, is Future Champions Day. Only 2-year-olds on today's 10 race card. So this day has been known to be very productive for several barns. Also, want to remind you that Mystic Dan's half-sister will debut in race 7. Her name, Yes Ma'am, as they share the dam in Ma'am. Glee seeks the third stakes victory in the year's end stakes, and we would want to thank everyone from horsemen to team members to our fans, everybody that is involved. Thanks for an amazing 2024 and cheers to 2025. So very excited to see some very well-bred runners competing today. So let's go ahead and get started on the Future Champion card. Race number 1 is for maiden claiming of $65,000, and they are going to go 1 mile in distance. It is for fillies who have started for a claim price of $65,000 or which have sold for $65,000 or less in their last auction. So it's a few different race conditions today, so it'll be kind of interesting to see how everything plays out. But Matt, how do you see the opener?
Call this the Pat Pope condition. This is a typical Pat Pope condition right here, which allows quite a few runners to break their maidens here against maybe a little bit easier while not being in for a tag if they're eligible for that. And one of them is Mimi's Grace, number 9, going to be my top pick in here off. Sitting off the pace, it sort of ran an even 5th last time as the favorite in an open maiden special weight, and is now in this race today in against a lighter field where trainer Matt Shire can protect this runner. So is not in for the tag, the $65,000 tag, based on the conditions. 2 starts ago went a 1-turn mile at Churchill Downs and ran really well, was much closer to the pace that day and only lost by a head. Has never tried a wet track, so that's a question mark, but Mimi's Grace, even though she's protected, this is a class drop, so I went to the outside here.
Well, the last couple of years since we did start having an all 2-year-old day and started running 2-year-olds, Ken McPeak has done very well on days like this. He actually won 4, including the stake back in 2022, 2 wins last year. And Steve Asmussen had a banner day with 4 victories. So might want to keep a little closer look on those 2 particular trainers. I'm going to go with a McPeak runner to start things off. I actually book in the card with a pair of McPeak runners. The one in the opener is the number 7 Sight to See with the services of jockey Manny Esquivel. A very sharp work after that last race when running second against restricted maiden allowance runners did go 6 furlongs and came from off the pace. So I kind of like to see that in a 2-year-old, that they are just not only speed. They can only go to the front, and if they get in trouble, might be a problem. But the fact that did show major improvement on the drop last out while in for that restriction, I think would also improve over the second local start. 18% also for wet runners for Munnings. We've been talking about how much I love Munnings over the mud. So, yeah, it's a really good way to start out race number 1 on our Future Champions card. Race number 2 is for, guess what, 2-year-olds. Maiden claiming 30,000, and they are going to go 6 furlongs. Just a jockey change as Ramon Vasquez pilots the number 7, Charming Tiger, and the morning line favorite is all the way on the far outside. But this one is a little interesting, Matt, because the majority do have experience.
They do have experience, and one of these runners here is going to break their maiden in a race where there are no world beaters in for maiden 30 today. I went to a runner with experience as well, G. Eric, drawing the rail, my favorite angle, cutting back from a route to a sprint. This gelding here, 8-1 on the morning line with Martin Garcia for Donnie K. Von Hemmel. Last time he ran over a wet surface, didn't do much. That was also routing, cutting him back to a sprint. This horse ran in an open maiden special weight at Ellis on a wet track and ran 5th that day, was comfortably beaten, but still sat off the pace and made up a little bit of ground. So we know this horse can run effectively on the wet going and sprinting. After a few route tries, things didn't work out. He's dropping in class to the lowest tag that we've seen with him, and I would imagine this is the easiest field he's seen to date. So I like G. Eric. I don't love the post. Other than that, I think he fits at 8-1. If he can stay around there, I think that's really nice value on him.
Well, Matt's going to the rail. I'm going to go to the far outside of the starting gate with Stay Gold Pony Boy. I love a good outsider's reference. Coming from the barn of Tom Amos, Rafael Bejarano, they are a very solid jockey-trainer combination. Was second versus similar in the local debut. I love the fact that this runner, even though is one of the professionals in the field with 7 starts, the numbers are trending in the right direction. They're trending towards the winner's circle. No reason I don't think that this horse can't improve, not only in his second local start, but also third start at the maiden 30 condition. So really good field for
it seems like this horse is well spotted to run well. He's the second pick. And sometimes with these lower level claimers, Nancy, these maiden claimers, it's all about just finding the right group.
It is. And we should mention, you know, a lot of these runners are making their racing debut today. It's a completely different experience than they've gone through in the mornings, you know, going up to the track maybe by themselves or with a stablemate, but here they're going to be in the paddock with a full field, potentially for the first time, go through post parade, load in the gate with potentially 11 others and go in that pack down the stretch. So it's a lot of different variables, and one of the critical things, especially for first time starters, that they get a good experience, because they definitely remember if something can happen.
I remember Richard Mandela one time talking to a group of folks when I was there, and he said, I would love to see my first-time starters win, but the key is when they get back to the barn, they're healthy, they're happy, they had a good experience. So next time when they run, they're ready to fire, and they're not going over to the front side second time out saying, I don't like this. They're going saying, oh, that was fun, I'm ready to run again.
Yeah, it's important. Also, the race still kind of continues after they cross the finish line. Like you said, you want to make sure they're healthy and that they eat up, actually. It's a big deal for horses to get to the bottom of that feed tub. Race number 3 is for maiden special weights, and did have a scratch in here of the number 4, and they will go 6 furlongs. Some really well-bred runners that we will see in the course of today's program, but we do have a field of 8 remaining, and we'll see if Brad Cox can get Caribbean Dream. That horse can get him off the duck. It's kind of weird to be saying that. Well, speaking of duck, you gotta segue this.
Yeah, the disco duck right there from our lovely crew over at the Muth Bar. The ladies over there, obviously a big fan of the show. They were listening to our disco talk, and today I was presented with the Staying Alive duck. Look at that finger pointing. That is A+ finger pointing right there.
You gotta get the neck.
Is Paul a disco guy?
That was kind of his era. I mean, now him, that was kind of his era, but I just love disco music. You know, it just the energy that it brings. It's always positive.
You just want to get up and start dancing every time you hear
You want to do this, right?
Staying alive, staying alive. That's what I'm going to name him, the Staying Alive duck.
I like that. You can name him Johnny T.
Yeah. Johnny T.
Johnny T.
There you go. Maybe find like a bright bulb and put him on the top of it. Maybe that'd be good, like a
so he spins.
Spin, yeah, for sure, for sure.
All right, Matt, what are your thoughts here? Because we are going to incorporate something new into the show today that we're all very excited about.
And we're going to be able to watch some workouts. That's what it is. Go to oaklawn.com/racing/workouts, and you will find a number of workouts, not only from Oaklawn, but also horses that ship in, like Caribbean Dream from the fairgrounds. And we're going to take a look at it when our TV crew puts it up here in just a second. And this really gives us a good indication about how these horses can run. Now, you're going to take a look at Caribbean Dream. He's the gray on the inside, and right out of the gate, he's working with two other workmates. He bounced right out of there. And right away, Florent Giroux, who's aboard in this work, he's going to take a nice hold on this horse and wait for the others to come up to him. But as you can see with a horse like this, he's just cruising along. He's got his ears pinned back. Not sure if that's determination or whether he just runs that way. Some horses do run with their ears pinned back. But he's on a hold right now. Take a look at Florent Giroux's hands. They're quiet. He's got a hold on him. Looks very eager, and the other horses, especially the one between horses, if you look at the difference, the rider's asking him with his hands, and Florent Giroux aboard Caribbean Dream is just cruising around there, and these other two workmates, they can't even get close to this horse. So all signs indicate this horse has ability, and the pedigree suggests it. Look at that. The other two horses in an all-out drive, and Florent Giroux is just sitting in the saddle like a statue. So this is telling you right here, this horse is a runner for sure. A question mark, can he take to the wet going? This, of course, was over a fast track at the fairgrounds, but Caribbean Dream by Tappet out of a dam who won the Grade 2 TCA stakes at Keeneland going 6 furlongs. This is her first foal. Her name was Golden Mischief, and the sire Tappet, 17% with dirt sprinters on a wet track. The average is 14%. So the pedigree's there, the workout's there. As you can see, he's got ability. And even though Innovator's going to go off favorite off that second place finish to Kale's Angel, I'm thinking Caribbean Dream's one you want to keep an eye on.
And it kind of looks like the Lone Ranger out the gray with the black blinkers. It's hard for me to look away from Innovator. Heavily got bet down last time to run second, but then again, that was also facing stakes runners in the Advent. Does get some class relief. You can't really say that a lot today. Back into the overnight ranks. Just the numbers excel against this particular group. But you got to think 4 seconds in 6 starts, but you also have to take a look at the resume of this particular 2-year-old. Came up against Kale's Angel in the Advent. Barnes, what a $3.2 million Baffert purchase, back at Churchill. So has just been facing some of the toughest 2-year-olds, including Sandman. He was second to Sandman. We are going to see Sandman, I believe, next out in the Southwest.
Yes.
So that one coming from the Mark Cassie barn. So Innovator, third off the layoff, and I do believe that BC Stables is going to be on property. That's always a good handicapping angle as well when you know that an owner is coming in. So like to see the coach, and we've talked about the apprentice weight. It's not as significant, maybe going 6 furlongs, but especially with 2-year-olds, I'll take anything that I can get, to help me maybe get to the winner's circle.
And I think that's the key, and also it's a nice indicator from the coach who's been around for a long time if he has the confidence to put Tyler Bacon aboard on a horse that's clearly well hyped.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Race number 4, we've got some winners, as this is for the boys. Optional claiming price of $62,500 or starter allowance, which means they have started for a claiming price of $50,000 or less in their career. They are going to sprint 6 furlongs. Did have a scratch of the number 7, El Sargento. Maybe the cheese hunch play. Sargento's a cheese. I'm not sure. But that does mean that the Piquant is the morning line favorite from the barn of David Jacobson.
Comes off a big win last time for Maiden 50. Problem is, or at least if you try to beat him, the angle is he ran on a synthetic surface. And coming from Golden Gate Fields, I got plenty of years of sample size when it came to horses that came on the synthetic from a ton of other places at times, not just starting their careers at Golden Gate, but maybe trying to transfer their form from dirt to synthetic. And there were certain horses that could do it all. There were other horses that they ran a huge race on the synthetic. and then they weren't able to duplicate it on dirt or even a wet surface or turf. So the question is this horse here a synthetic specialist that just can run his best race on synthetic, or first off the claim for David Jacobson, has he improved that significantly? Maybe he's just a new horse, and that could be an angle as well. I'm going to try to beat him, and I went with number 6, Farley Hall on top. This horse comes off a dominant maiden $32,000 win at Del Mar. First off the claim for Peter Miller, who's 13% first off the claim. This horse didn't beat a strong field by any means. There's that age-old question, who did he beat? And the answer there is I don't think he beat much, even though the third-place finisher did come back to win. But I was there that day at Del Mar, believe it or not, and he won for fun, and he could have won by more. So I'm thinking this horse got a confidence booster there, and he showed a lot more speed in lifetime start number 3 that afternoon than he did in his first 2 starts against Tougher. So I'm thinking he's going to be prominent, and if he can duplicate that and run his hardest, then he is an interesting contender at odds of 9-2 on the morning line.
I'm going to go with the number 8, Rock Solo from the barn of Ron Moquette. Cuts back in distance. This one it does get the services of Rafael Bejarano. Did go with 1 turn mile at Churchill Downs the last 2 starts, and last out was the first time facing winners. Now, in my opinion, there's a considerable amount of speed in here, and we did see Rock Solo kind of duel on the front end those last 2 starts, and ran a respectable 5th last out, beaten less than 3 lengths and lit up the board at 32-1. So with that 1 turn and today at 6 furlongs could certainly fit this 2-year-old very well. So did break the maiden going a 1 turn mile, and the number improved despite running 5th that first time versus winners. So a very interesting field, and also some in for the tag. I wouldn't be surprised if you get to announce a few new acquisitions today for certain barns.
You're going to have to put a good chunk of change down,
Yes, you will.
62,500. But these horses coming off nice races, the main contenders, so maybe they're getting good. We talked about those 2-year-olds, Nancy, with regards to everybody's a little different when it comes to development.
Certainly. Race number 5 before we get to break. This is for Arkansas bred 2-year-olds, and they are maiden allowance contenders, and they will go the distance of 6 furlongs. Have a scratch of the number 8 and 14, which does allow the 13 to draw in, and as you can see in yellow, a few rider changes. But this one is going to be interesting because it's basically all first-time starters.
It is, and it's an interesting field because you've got plenty of pedigrees that are outside of Arkansas, but these horses are Arkansas breds when you look at the stallions, which is a real nice thing to see our breeders here going outside the state. It's good to keep them in the state, but to see different stallions going through the mix, which shows that we're getting better quality Arkansas
Oh, for
breds.
sure, and that part of that is because that Arkansas breds run for that same purse structure that open runners do. So like we had said the other day, you can win a maiden allowance race here or a maiden or a regular allowance, and that can make your whole year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, you're going to pay a little more with regards to who you're going to breed your mare to, knowing that if you have a decent runner, you're going to get some cash in your pocket down the road. I went with Castle Gap, number 2. This horse, a first-time starter for the Johnny Ortiz barn. The dam was a sprinter. Actually, she won the 2020 Rainbow Miss here. Sakani, I'm sure you remember her. First foal here out of Sakani, and we have a workout for you provided by With the Works, Bruno DiGiulio and his team. And we're going to take a look at Castle Gap coming out of the gate. This was on December 22nd, going a half mile in 48 seconds flat. And I always say with these workouts, you give the Arkansas breds a little bit of a lower bar than the opens, just because usually they're not as fast as the opens. But Castle Gap, you're going to see him here. He is outside of the horse with the white cap, and we're killing 2 birds with 1 stone here because that horse in the white cap is none other than Yes Ma'am, Mystic Dan's sibling, who we're going to see in race number 7. Now, based on Yes Ma'am's work, I'll just throw it out there. I think that she might want a little more ground. I don't think she's going to be super sprinting. I think if she develops, it'll be into a 2-turn horse. But Castle Gap is keeping up with this runner, and I like to see that. Again, going against Open Maiden Special Weight Company in the mornings, I give Castle Gap a little bit of a lower bar here, is keeping up with the workmate. Now, you're going to see the other workmate, Devil's Fork, move up alongside. Castle Gap does not outwork Yes Ma'am here, but keeps up with her until the quarter pole. They start from the 6 furlong pole. That's a half mile. And even though you don't see a huge gallop out from Castle Gap, if you take a look at the rider is in the back now, he's taking a hold. He's going to get her to the outside. So I see this as maybe Johnny Ortiz didn't feel that this runner needed to have a big gallop out here, and they let the other 2 go on with it. I thought it was an encouraging work, showed speed out of the gate, wasn't all in to go 48. So I think Castle Gap has some ability. I thought the work was pretty decent.
I thought I knew my Arkansas geography, but I'm not sure where Castle Gap is because we know that Shortleaf does name horses in regards to geographical locations here in Arkansas. But I'm going to go just to the outside of Castle Gap with War Mule coming from the barn of Brett Calhoun, who had a very solid firster the other day. I thought we were going to get home in the last. Christian Torres gets the riding assignment. This is the first foal for the dam, being Lovely Illusion. And sire Army Mule is 12% with two-year-old first-time starters. Not a bad number at all. Has a very solid work pattern, and that last one just came over the mud. We see that kind of old school 3, 4, 5 days out like this one was on Christmas Eve, 3 furlongs over the mud, and it was 39-2 out of the gate. So really impressive work by War Mules, who is going to be my top selection, and 9-2 on the morning line. We're going to take a quick break here on this Future Champions edition of Oaklawn Today, and when we return, race number 6, which is also the first leg of the late 50-cent Pick 5.
Experience the excitement of horse racing with Oaklawn Anywhere. If you're an Arkansas resident, you can watch and wager on horse racing from around the globe, whether you're at home or on the go, with any smartphone, laptop, or tablet, anytime, anywhere. Download the free Oaklawn Anywhere app and register for a sign-up bonus. With access to past performances, live video, race replays, and expert handicapping data, you're always in the know with no subscription fees. Bet online anytime with Oaklawn Anywhere, exclusively available to Arkansans. Right, Max? Oaklawn Anywhere. Our season never ends. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Hey Oaklawn, you're just a swipe away from a prize. Every Friday and Sunday of live racing, you can insert your driver's license at the swipe stations located throughout the racing side. Just look for the blinking LED lights at each swipe station and follow the on-screen instructions for a successful swipe. 1 in 3 will win a random prize for free or discounted items, which will be redeemable at the racing gift shop and select concession stands. But that's not all you can win. You can win free race bets of $2, $5, or $10, redeemable at the mutual teller. Don't miss out on this opportunity to win exciting prizes at Oaklawn. Remember, you can't win if you don't swipe.
The countdown to 2025 is on, and Oaklawn has everything you need to get the party started, like 24-hour hot casino action, sports betting, and your favorite ball games playing on the big screens. Enjoy an array of fine and casual dining options, live entertainment like the Cliff and Susan Band, the Arkansas Symphony Orchestra String Quartet, and so much more. So pop the bubbly and come on down to ring in the 2025 New Year at Oaklawn. See oaklawn.com for all the details.
And we're off in the year's end stakes. Dinnerman Pearls needs to finish. Here's Ice Cold on the outside. Ice Cold and Julian Leperoux run right by Dinnerman Pearls, and Ice Cold has won the year's end stakes.
And there's a preview of today's feature, the Year's End Stakes, aptly named, as this is the last chance to dance to get your maiden broken or get a win as a 2-year-old in your final start of the calendar year. Race number 6 is for 2-year-old fillies, maiden special weight, and they will go 1 1/16 miles. Did have a scratch of the number 8 Somerville, but still a very competitive field of 10 will set to go to the post. And I've got a little bit of I think you know how there are hunch plays and you might lean towards a certain one, but there's a horse in here that I'm kind of leaning to. We'll see if John Ortiz and Shortleaf can get a double with Poppyland. Chelsea that runs our media department. Her little girl is named Poppy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so Chelsea put a couple bucks on Poppyland.
I texted her this yesterday and said, you know what, you got to bet on Poppyland. So we're gonna I think rename her her playroom Poppyland.
That's a good idea.
I think that would be extra
Nancy
cute.
with the master of not only marketing but good ideas. That is fantastic.
I said I see rainbows and unicorns.
It's Poppyland.
Poppyland. So what are your thoughts here for this group of 2-year-old fillies, Matt?
Well, I think it's a competitive race, and I went with Queen Jubilee to the inside. I thought that last race showed a lot more speed than in her first couple. Well, she showed a little early speed in her first career race, but then faded towards midfield early. But Queen Jubilee, she got real keen last time out, and she was aggressive, and then she faded a little bit. I think that two-back effort, she was a big price at the main special weight level, but she showed a lot more finish. And I think last time she got a little bit eager, and I like the rider change to Rafael Bejarano because he's got really good hands and he's very good at relaxing horses. So that's an angle I do look at, especially when you get to know the riders. I think Rafael is going to ration her speed a bit, try to get her to settle down and finish like she did 2 starts ago, where she ran 4th behind Golden Gamble, who ran 3rd, and Golden Gamble came back to win by about 10. In his stakes placed already. In California Sunset, the winner of that race, also a very nice Brad Cox horse. So came out with a strong race 2-back. Last time out, like I said, I think she got a little bit eager, and I think it cost her in the final furlong. So I'm hoping with Rafa aboard, he can settle her down, get her to finish like 2-back. And I don't think this is as strong of a field as 2-back. So all she has to do is improve a little bit or run back to those races, and she'll be right there.
I'm going to go with Poppyland. Matt had a Ortiz shortleaf runner, and I'm not sure if Poppyland is an Arkansas location, but we're going to make it one because it's going to be Poppy's playroom. Ricardo Santana and the Irons. Both career starts have produced 3rd-place finishes, and both of those coming at today's 1.16 distance. So really like the fact that this runner has a good, solid foundation of 2-turn races, likes to come from off the pace, and you gotta love that this runner is a half to Ice Orchid, former stablemate of Poppyland, who coincidentally broke her maiden in her 3rd career start. We'll see if that repeats in the family tree. I really like that last drill on December 21st. It was here 4 furlongs and 48 3, and you know, they clock how many were at that specific distance. This filly clocked in the 8th fastest work at a half mile in 132 half-mile drills. So very, very impressive. I did look for this work. I couldn't find it up on the server, but I've got just as good a one later on in the card. Race number 7 is the debut of Mystic Dan's half-sister, as this is for maiden special weight 2-year-old fillies, and they'll sprint 6 furlongs in distance. And we've got Yes Ma'am is 12-1 on the morning line. Couple scratches, or actually 3 scratches out of the body of the field. Races, or excuse me, numbers 3, 5, or 3, 6, and 11. 3, 6, 11 out, but still some first-time starters hoping to get the job done. But it's a very wide-open event, I would think.
It is, and Yes Ma'am, I think she's going to get bet simply because of her pedigree.
Agreed.
And Mystic Dan's turned into a fan favorite, so people are going to pay attention.
Yeah.
Like I said, we watched her work with Castle Gap. Even though she outworked Castle Gap, I think she might want a little more ground.
Yeah.
I don't think she doesn't appear super sprinty to me. So in that regard, I picked her 4th. I think that she's the type that can get out of the gate, put herself in a position, finish up okay, and as long as she runs all right and gets a good experience, I'm sure Johnny Ortiz will be happy with that. Maybe she can win, but I looked elsewhere on the win end with Miss Martini, a $225,000 sale purchase, 2nd out. She started her career in June for Steve Asmussen, so obviously right away early on in the 2-year-old season, she showed some precocity. Being by Curlin out of a Will Take Charge mare, you wouldn't think that screams 5 furlongs, 5.5 furlongs. She went 6 and she ran 2nd, stocked the pace and was 2nd best, has taken time off, comes back with a steady series of workouts. I thought the race was encouraging. I like that Steve's using Keith Asmussen today. Usually Keith's on the live ones for Steve for sure. So Miss Martini, daughter of Curlin, should she enjoy more distance? Absolutely. But for now, based on that first career sprint race, I think she'll be fine, and I'm hoping that she can run well today.
I'm going to go for the Daughter of Violence. That is the number 7, Ever Loving, little opposite of the sire name, Violence, to Ever Loving. Does get the services of Christian Torres for the barn of Tom Amos, who has done very, very well with everything, basically, that they've sent out thus far at the meet. Does come off a disappointing 8th place finish at Churchill Downs last go, but was down on the rail going 5.5. Probably not the ideal place where you want to be, and has actually drawn the rail in 2 of this runner's 3 career starts. So gets a little further to the outside today, and the barn is 50% with runners having made their last start at Churchill Downs, and is also very well bred. Is a half sister to Grade 2 winner World Record, who won the Grade 2 Amsterdam at Saratoga. So we're seeing a lot of very well bred runners, and that's why we call it Future Champions Day, because they might be champions themselves.
This is one of my favorite days.
I
by
love
the way,
this.
At Oaklawn.
Race number 8 is a first level allowance or claiming of $125,000. I believe this is our highest claim price. We might have a 150 later in the season, but they are going to go 1 mile. This is for the boys, and scratching the inside and outside, the 1 and the 9, which means we're down to 7.
Well, and whoever wins this race, if they stay healthy, we might see them in the Southwest a month away. Good
call.
Timing, and obviously they'll break their condition, their first level condition, if they were to win this. I'm taking a runner that's never routed before, Big Much, who inherits the inside post. A little bit of a concern on the bottom side, even though he's by outwork out of a Bodemeister mare. That mare, the dam, was a sprinter. The second dam never ran, and the one sibling to this runner was a sprinter. So bottom side looks sort of sprinty.
Yeah.
A little bit of a concern, but comes out of a good race. First time out, went off at 17-1 for Norm Cassie and won. And there were 3 next out winners out of that race, and that does not include the runner-up finisher that day, I Got Game, who ran here at Oaklawn last week and won at low odds in a maiden special weight sprint. So that was a very key race. I don't know these horses as well as Norm Cassie, who sees them every morning with his horses. So if he's not sprinting this horse and getting this horse to a route first start against winners, I trust the barn that they think this horse will be fine going the 2 turns today, and I think he is very much a player, especially if he gets the distance. And in fact, if he gets the distance, I don't think there's any question he'll be a player.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Big Much is a little more polite acting than we say, as he was a gate scratch back on December 13th. So I'm sure anytime that happens, that horse will certainly revisit the gate several times, even if it's just to go stand or walk out of the gate, just so they do get that really good, confident, and safe feeling from the starting gate. I am going to go just to the outside, Monet's Magic. Luan Machado not here today. Matt will be giving you all of those rider changes in just a bit, but Ben Colbert comes in. This horse Byred an 84 when breaking the maiden by just a neck last out, and it was at 1 mile and a 16th back in late November at Churchill. Decent amount of speed in this particular field. That's why I like this runner to come from off the pace, kind of sit back, be patient, and do that run aground in the lane. A little bit more confidence on this one, as this runner does get the services of our leading jockey in Christian Torres. Well, on Future Champions Day, you have to have a stakes race, and we will be running the 3rd running of the $175,000 Year's End. This is for 2-year-old fillies set to go 1 mile. Very could possibly see some of these in the Martha Washington on January 25th, that $300,000 stake at 1 mile and a 16th. 4 in this particular field are making their stakes debut, but we do have some accomplished runners already in the group.
We do, and another group in which I think for these overnight stakes like this, they're looking to see, are they going to be able to step up the graded stakes company, or do we need to go to a first level allowance if we can find one? I picked Jenkin, who comes off a win here at Oaklawn Park on December 6th. Stock the pace was 15-1. I didn't do much first 2 career starts going 1 turn, and then really put it all together for Lindsay Schultz, a daughter of Mineshaft out of a Quiet American mare. So that tells me, especially on the top side there, this runner would like routing, and that's what she's going to do. I question whether that race wasn't a fluke. I think it was not a fluke. I question. Some people are going to question at 15-1 whether this was sort of a flukish race and whether she can go back to back. I don't think it was a fluke. I think maybe she's just decent, and in this race, I think she stacks up with these.
Yeah, the light bulb could have certainly gone off going around 2 turns. You know, when we talk about that 1 turn mile at Churchill, is it the 1 mile, or is it when they get to Oaklawn, the 2-turn circumference? Because when you think about it, there actually is a difference, not the mile, but the fact of the amount of ground that they will cover in that circumference. I am going to go with the most accomplished runner in the field, multiple stakes winner already, and that is the number 4, Glee, one of 2 Steve Asmussen contenders. I love the fact that Stuart Elliott comes back for the mount on this one, as he piloted Glee to a 26 and quarter length combined victories for those 2 stakes. Now, the one thing about Glee is never been able to put wins back to back. Today would be the first time. Both of those huge efforts did come at Remington Park, but again, I like the fact of when a jockey says have tack, we'll travel, and that's exactly what Stewart is doing with Glee. Our 10th and final on the Future Champions card is for the 2-year-olds. We know that. It is for the boys at 1 mile and a 16th, and one reason why a lot of people do try to get their runners here because the 2-year-olds also made an allowance $110,000 purse. Scratch the 2 far outside contenders, the 10 and 11, and then we do see a late scratch of the 8 as well. So that is a late scratch, ladies and gentlemen, but still leaves a good field, and Harry Hernandez picks up the mount on the 3, Nick's Glory for Ben Colebrook.
A fun race to end our day, and I went with the morning line favorite, American Promise, a $750,000 sale purchase by Justify. One of these horses that it's just a matter of finding the right group. He's run well the last 2 races. Those were his first 2 races, going 2 turns, and I think that's really improved him significantly along with the race experience for the coach, D. Wayne Lucas. As I mentioned, just has really done well going 2 turns and hasn't been able to win, but I think that's a real big key here. He's got experience going 2 turns. He's got more experience than most in here, and he's run the best speed figures, and he's run against the best company. Also Justify, this stallion is actually 19% with wet track runners, 14% is the average. So his horses like the slop, and not a surprise because Justify won the Preakness over a very sloppy surface.
And very well bred is a half to the grade 2 winner Hoosier Filly. So you gotta love that, good pedigree. So some of these, like I mentioned, are very, very well bred. I'm gonna go to the number 7 Restless Renegade. We have seen Ken McPeak do very well on days such as this. Restless Renegade gets the services of jockey Julian Leperoux in the 3rd career start, and has yet to hit the board. Is going to stretch out and go around a ground sired by Into Mischief, 17% when adding that real estate, and the barn does well when going from Churchill to Oaklawn. Now, the last work is something that we are going to show you, compliments of Bruno DiGiulio's Into the Work. So let's go ahead and take a look at that 5 furlong bullet drill. We see Restless Renegade on the outside, and I wouldn't be surprised, Matt, you might be able to help me. That could be former jockey Robbie Alvarado on the outside, and sometimes trainers are very strategic about where they want their runners to work, whether it's down on the lane or on the outside. So you can see Restless Renegade on the outside going just a little bit wide, but still covering a lot of ground. It's got those ears pricked and going forward and really driving and dueling in the lane. But I love that he kind of gears down and gets a very, very strong finish on the outside, and that just gave me goosies. I love when a good horse finishes out very well, and a lot of times, Matt, is that you get to see more of them than I do, but a very strong gallop out is sometimes just as important. And I'm sometimes watching works and replays of races, you'll see the winner, but you'll see who gallops out lengths past the winner, and make sure you make a mental note of that for their next start. But I am going to go with Restless Renegade stretching out, going around a ground for the first time today. So yeah, really cool that we've got those works to show people. This is something new that we've instituted this year, and
we'll keep going. We'll be showing you more works as our season gets longer here. And I'm a big works person.
Yeah,
think about it. Trainers, when they're trying to spot their horses, trying to figure out what they do best, how do they find that out? In the mornings they watch, and I equate them to like scouts of other sports. They're watching, they're looking at the positives and negatives, and they're trying to place them in positions to be successful, like a Restless Renegade who going a route of ground, and this is how Kenny McPeak trains, Nancy. He gets him to finish strong, not necessarily needs to go all in, all out,
right?
Especially with a filly like her, going a route game, doesn't seem to love sprinting, looks like a router. I would say that that's a good angle, and she worked very well. And by the way, she's out of a Grade 1 winning mare, Restless Rider, one by Darcy Alcibiades.
Yeah, you gotta love some, like we keep saying, some very well-bred and expensive horses competing this afternoon. But let's go ahead and give you our $20 show bet bonus parlay tickets that we have put together. Matt starts in race number 3, goes to 6, 7, and 10 to round out the card. I'm gonna go, you know how I like to mix it up, 5, 6, 8, 9 with my numbers 34, 34, but we're both going to use Puppyland in our tickets. My long shot play of the day is in the nightcap with the number 7 Restless Renegade, as he is 5-1 on the morning line with those scratches. Might get bet down a little more than that, but Matt's going to back it up with race number 2 and the 1 G. Eric from the barn of Donnie Von Hemel. Top pick sponsored by Oaklawn Anywhere, Farley Hall. Wonder where that is, on what campus. That's race 4 for Matt. Well, I'm going to go sight to see in the opener. My both my long shot and top pick are from the barn of Kenny McPeak. We'll see if his win trend continues. So very interesting. As just a reminder, yesterday's Tinsel Stakes will be contested next Sunday, and I'm sure we'll be showing some works for next Saturday's Smarty Jones.
It's going to be a big day. I believe 11 races were running that day. I just went into the racing office actually before the show. Big fields. The Smarty Jones I see has 8 right now with some good quality, so we're excited.
Yeah, the richest road to the Triple Crown in the nation is right here at Oaklawn. So without further ado, we wish you a lot of luck on today's Future Champions card. This is the last show for 2024, so I can officially say we'll see you next year.
afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching and wagering on Oaklawn Park. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we now ask you to please rise and remove your caps for the playing of our national anthem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can now get out your pens, pencils, and programs because we now have today's changes. Here they come. Our track condition is muddy this afternoon. Sunny skies with some clouds. West winds coming in at 5 miles an hour. Currently 55 degrees. Really nice day here for live racing at Oaklawn. Again, our track condition is listed as muddy. Here come today's changes on a 10-race program. It's Future Champions Day, all 10 races for the 2-year-olds. In the first race today, we're scratching number 6, Undisputed Victory. Number 6, Undisputed Victory, scratched out of race number 1, the first leg of the early pick 5. In the second race today, we have a rider change, make the jockey on number 7, Charming Tiger, Ramon Vasquez. Ramon Vasquez rides number 7, Charming Tiger, in race number 2 today. Jockey Luan Machado is off his mounts this afternoon. Race 2 begins the early pick 4 as well. We turn to race number 3. Number 3, Nastinate, is 1 pound overweight, and we scratch number 4, Putting Eagle. Scratch number 4, Putting Eagle, from race 3. In the fourth race on the program, number 7, El Sargento, is a scratch. Scratch number 7, El Sargento, from the fourth race. Over in the fifth race today, we have a scratch of number 8, Hey Mister, and number 14, Go Go Row Row, has been withdrawn. Scratch numbers 8 and 14 in race 5. Number 9, Battle of the Ravine, new rider there, make the jockey Chelsea Bailey, and the rider on number 12, Bote, will now be Ramon Vasquez. Over in the sixth race on the program, that's the first leg of the late pick 5, scratch number 8, Somerville. Number 8, Somerville, out of race 6. First leg of that late pick 5. The beginning of the late pick 4 comes in race number 7 today. In the 7th race, scratch number 3, Coaster. Number 6, Eiley Symes, has been withdrawn. And scratch number 11, Quick to Charm. Numbers 3, 6, and 11, all scratched out of race number 7 today. In the 8th race on the program, number 1, Out and Out Disgrace, is a scratch. Also scratch number 9, It's in My Blood. Numbers 1 and 9, both scratched out of race number 8. Also in the 8th race, we have a new rider on the 3, Mone's Magic, make the jockey Christian Torres. Christian Torres rides number 3, Monet's Magic, in race 8. Number 5, Heavenville, is 4 pounds overweight. And number 7, Moneyline, 1 pound over. The 9th race is our feature race. That's the $175,000 year's end stakes for 2-year-old fillies going a mile. In race number 9, scratch number 8, Piggy Tails Up. Number 8, Piggy Tails Up, scratched out of race number 9. Also the overweights in race 9. Number 1, Adira, is 3 pounds overweight. 2, You'll Be Back, 2 pounds over. 3, It Will Be Fun, 2 pounds overweight. 5, Kinsey Queen, 2 pounds over. 6, Jenkin, 2 pounds overweight. The last race is race 10 today. Scratch number 8, Primo Canary. Scratch number 10, Landing Craft. And scratch number 11, Crisis Manager. Numbers 8, 10, and 11, all scratched out of race number 10. We have a new jockey on number 3, Nick's Glory, make the rider Harry Hernandez. Harry Hernandez rides number 3, Nick's Glory, in race number 10 today. And also in the 10th race, number 5, Publisher, is 3 pounds overweight. Those are all the changes, ladies and gentlemen. 25 minutes until the first race on Future Champions Day here at Oaklawn Park. Enjoy your afternoon.
We're here to break down the basics of wagering
and the types of bets you can place
to hopefully make your day at the races less intimidating and more entertaining.
Let's dive into the basics of making a bet.
The first type of bet is to win. If you bet on a horse to win, this means your horse must finish first.
If you bet on a horse to place, this means your horse must finish first or second.
And if you bet on a horse to show, this means your horse must finish first, second, or third.
You can also make 3 equal win, place, and show bets.
This is called across the board.
If your bet is $2 across the board on horse 1,
you will spend $6 total.
$2 to win on 1,
$2 to place on 1,
and $2 to show on 1.
And if your horse comes in third, you collect the show money only.
If your horse comes in second, you collect on the place and show.
And if your horse wins, you collect on all 3 wagers, win, place, and show.
When betting at the window, be prepared to tell the clerk the name of the racetrack, race number, amount of your bet, type of bet, and the horse number. Now it's time for you to place your bets.
Good luck!